You did.
No, somebody else did, but I just did too. All right, here we go. Welcome back on Wednesday night for our Outwitting the Devil. And there's Lynn sliding in under the radar. Lynn's
On
going to
our
be here.
Harley.
She's got her Harley Davidson. It's 7:01. Where are you, Lynn? Lynn, you're late. Now she doesn't even come on camera. Can you imagine that?
The
Can you
nerve.
just imagine that?
The nerve.
And she's muted. She's not on camera. She's probably eating. So let's start with, did anybody have a win this past week? A win. Yolina's coming in. Go ahead, Joel.
I think I had a win for this past entire month because I was on vacation for literally 30 days.
That's awesome.
And I never in my life had taken a vacation that was that long.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and then we like that was a win in itself. And then so we show up and my oldest daughter, she just turned 15 last year in September. And we haven't done any, it's tradition to do like a quinceañera for her, and we show up, and one of my nieces, my wife's family, suggests like, "Hey, y'all should do a quinceañera here," and we're like, "Well, we weren't here to do that, but I mean, it's a possibility." And then, you know, one conversation after another, we have a quinceañera last Saturday, and we didn't pay for it. Everybody like we have a huge their dresses are humongous and they're very they do cost quite a bit, and we found one for pennies on the dollar that we didn't pay for. Like we didn't pay for anything, and so we had my daughter's quinceañera out there
Very
that we
nice.
weren't thinking about at all, and it was just family gathering. There's no, because we don't know a lot of people out there, and it was just some family, but we just had a blast, a great time, and she just loved it. And we weren't even going over there for that. We were just over
Yeah.
there with our family. So
Yeah.
it was awesome.
One of the riches of life, right? Families and relationships, family
Yes.
relationships. Keep in mind, one of Napoleon Hill's 12 riches of life is exactly that. And so you are rich in family, at least for that 30 days.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Lynn, good to see you, my friend. Yolena, you going to come on camera or are you hiding from me?
Nice to be.
Bradford, you weren't that late.
I'm actually driving right now, so I'll
Don't
be on
do it.
camera once I stop driving.
Don't do it. That's awesome. Glad to see you guys all here. We're talking about wins for the week. Joel just enjoyed a 30-day vacation down in Mexico and had a wonderful celebration for his 15-year-old daughter. That was really cool. Anybody else have a win that they'd like to share?
I have one.
Go ahead,
Well,
Yolena.
a couple actually. So my business has been doing a lot better, so I'm starting to get more clients, which is awesome.
I love it.
Um, so I've been busy like the last 3 weeks in a row, and I'll be busy into next week as well. So that's really nice. Um,
Busy's a good thing.
yes. And then I started a part-time with a different company. They do AI uh, voice bots and like CRMs run by AI and stuff like that. And so I'm
Nice.
learning how to use AI for my own business as well through that. So hopefully I'll have like a website and stuff soon as well. So
Wonderful.
from that, yeah.
Man, Yolena, you have come so far from when you and I
Yeah.
first met, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up. Keep it up.
Thank
And do not come on camera until you stop driving.
Yes, I won't.
And welcome, Betty. Good to see you here.
Hello.
We're talking about wins, Betty. Have you had any wins this past week?
They submitted my sign-on authority to get it for underwriting, so I guess that's a pretty good win.
Progress is progress. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brad, anything happening in the landscaping business?
No, not a whole lot. Just kind of grinding things out.
Well,
So,
I need you here in Villages, Florida, because I have some work to be done.
all right, schedule me in January.
Be careful what you ask for, Brad.
The flights are cheaper now.
I'm quite
Exactly.
serious, Frank.
All right, all right. I've got an extra room. We can work that out.
All right,
Uh,
sounds good.
all right, Lynn, anything on your side?
Oh, there's just so much. I just don't know which one to really pick and how to go about it. So I'm just going to let it be.
Wow, wow. She let me go. I asked the question. She didn't take up 15 minutes. Awesome. Good to see you, Lynn.
Oh, nice to be here.
So be Beth, I've known Lynn long enough. We're over a year now. I can do what I have to do. She does it to me all the time. So glad to see you guys all here. And we're going to pick up where we left off on the book. I'm going to share my screen. Full disclosure, I don't have all my technology here right now. I'm sitting at my kitchen table in the new house, and I don't have an office yet. So we're going to do the best we can with what we got. And I'm hitting share, and I'm going to the screen. Wow. Can everybody see that? Awesome. Because now I can't see the screen because I just did that. Let's do that. Okay. And now I've got something else going on my screen. I don't know what's going on. Let's get out of that. There we go. If everybody can see the screen, I will start the read where we left off. So when we left off last week, we were talking about people making money, and the devil was talking about all these things. And one of the side notes that the editor had put in there, Sharon Lecter. Think of the countless athletes who have become mega celebrities only to crash and burn from their fast money and fame. And then think of the millions of young people who looked up to them. Think of lottery winners who end up losing all their money within just a few years after they win the lottery. Could it be from drifting, a fallout from gambling? Could these cycles be orchestrated by the devil? So I think that statement right there, we all know stories of people who fell into riches, whether it be from inheritance, winning the lottery, or maybe hitting it big on a gambling spree. And then not too long after that, they lose their money. And it's because they really didn't have a plan. And I think that's the point here. They didn't have a plan, and they didn't know what their definite purpose was. And so they rode the ride until the money was gone, and they ended up probably at least back where they left off, or maybe even worse. Because when they had the money, they spent the money. They maybe spent more than they had. Can you imagine that, William, winning millions of dollars and then spending all of that and then going further in debt because it just wasn't enough? So the message here is the devil controlling all of that and causing people to make bad decisions because they're part of the 98% who do not have a definite major purpose. So we're looking for someone to be Napoleon Hill because, as always, I'm the devil. And I've got a highlighted section there. Who would like to jump in and play a part? Lynn was first. Joel, I'm going to go with ladies first.
Oh, no, let
Lynn-
Joel go ahead. It's his first time, please. It's
It's not
Napoleon.
it's not Joel's first time. He's been chomping my
Oh,
bits for a long time.
oh, that's okay. Let Joel go ahead. I wasn't sure. Go
There you
ahead, Joel.
go. Joel, you got it.
Thank you, Lynn. What about who acquire money slowly by rendering some form of useful service? Are they easily snared too?
Oh, I get them all right, but I generally have to change my bait. Some of them want one thing and others want something else. Where my purpose is best served, I see to it that they get what they want most, but I manage to wrap it in a package, something they don't want. The thing I give them is the definite thing that makes them drifters. Do you see how I work?
And very clever work it is. You lure people on through their natural desires, but you slip your deadly poison into the object of those desires wherever you can.
Now you're catching on. You see, I play both ends against the middle, so to speak.
From all of you, I say, infer that you cannot induce a non-drifter to help you gain control of his mind by baiting him with your bribes. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. I can and I do interest non-drifters in my bribes because I use for the purpose of bribery the things all people naturally desire. But the non-drifter resembles a fish that steals the bait from your hook, but refuses to take the hook. The non-drifter takes from life whatever he wants, but he takes it on his own terms. The drifter takes whatever he can get, but he takes what he gets on my terms. Stating the matter in another way, the non-drifter borrows money from a legitimate banker if he wants it and pays a legitimate rate of interest. The drifter goes to the pawn shop, hawks his watch, and pays a suicidal rate of interest for his loan.
So I draw from your claims the conclusion that your hand is mixed up somehow in all of people's troubles and miseries, even though your presence may not be visible.
My unwilling workers are often my best workers. You see, my unwilling workers are those whom I cannot control with some combination of bribes, people whom I have to master by fear or through some form of misfortune. They do not wish to serve me, but they cannot avoid it because they are eternally bound to me by the habit of drifting.
Now I'm beginning to better understand your technique. You bribe your victims through their natural desires and lead them astray, while you induce them to become drifters if they respond to your lure. If they refuse to respond, you plant the seed of fear in their minds, or trap them through some form of misfortune, and hogtie them while they are down. Is that your method?
That's exactly the way I work. Clever, don't you think?
Which do you prefer to serve as your propagandists, the young or the old?
The young, of course. They can be influenced by most bribes more easily than people of mature judgment. Moreover, they have longer to remain in my service.
Your Majesty has given me a clear description of drifting. Tell me what must be done to ensure against the habit of drifting. I want a complete formula that anyone can use.
Protection against drifting lies within easy reach of every human being who has a normal body and a sound mind. The self-defense can be applied through these simple methods. 1. Do your own thinking on all occasions. The fact that human beings are given complete control over nothing save the power to think their own thoughts is laden with significance. 2. Decide definitely what you want from life, then create a plan for attaining it and be willing to sacrifice everything else, if necessary, rather than accept permanent defeat. 3. Analyze temporary defeat, no matter of what nature or cause, and extract from it the seed of an equivalent advantage. 4th, be willing to render useful service, equivalent to the value of all material things you demand of life, and render the service first. 5th, recognize that your brain is a receiving set that can be attuned to receiving communications from the universal storehouse of infinite intelligence to help you transmit your desires into their physical equivalent. 6th, recognize that your greatest asset is time, the only thing except the power of thought which you own outright, and the one thing which can be shaped into whatever material things you want. Budget your time so none of it is wasted. 7th, recognize the truth that fear generally is a filler with which the devil occupies the unused portion of your mind. It is only a state of mind which you can control by filling the space it occupies with faith in your ability to make life provide you whatever you demand of it. 8, when you pray, do not beg. Demand what you want and insist upon getting exactly that with no substitutes. 9, recognize that life is a cruel taskmaster and that either you master it or it masters you. There is no halfway or compromising point. Never accept from life anything you do not want. If that which you do not want is temporarily forced, upon you, you can refuse it in your own mind. To accept it and will it make way for the thing you do not or you do want. Lastly, number 10, remember that your dominating thoughts attract through a definite law of nature by the shortest and most convenient route, their physical counterpart. Be careful what your thoughts dwell on. I'm going to stop the share right there, guys, because that was a whole mouthful of stuff. What stood out in that sequence of 10 things that the devil shared with Napoleon Hill in regard to how he controls us and the one thing or the 10 things that we can do to make sure that we don't lose control?
Well, the devil obviously is much smarter than any of us put together
Of
because he
course.
knows exactly what to do to avoid his wily ways. And he was very happy, according to this transcript, to share with Napoleon Hill exactly what it is that keeps you away from his wily ways.
And Toby Beth, I think, obviously those are the 10 things that we need to take control, first off, right here, our own minds.
Mhm.
We need to answer the question, what do you want? We need to define it explicitly. We need to create a plan to achieve it. We need to get into action and do not accept temporary failure because temporary failure is temporary. It only becomes permanent when we stop trying, and do whatever it takes to achieve what it is that we want to achieve. When we give up because of fear, the devil's taking place in that empty space. Fear gives an open door to distraction, the devil, to come in and play with our minds. Right? So we have to be persistent. We have to have faith, not only in our abilities, but in our dreams. If you can dream it, you can have it. Your conscious mind would not allow you to have a dream unless you were capable of achieving it, as long as you follow the steps.
So, do you think he's using the devil as just a mode for us to understand that our fears and how to control them? It's just like a tool. I can't think of the word I want to use, but the mode, like he's just using it as an example so that we could better understand what our fears are and how to conquer them.
Yeah. Yeah. Lynn, do you have your hand up or are you just playing with your pen? Stop that. You know what, Betty? I think it's exactly that. I think, I'm going to assume everyone in this room, including me, has let fear of consequences, of judgment, stop us from doing the things that we really wanted to do. We were missing a piece. And in my mind, it's called commitment. We had a dream, we had a wish, we wanted to do something, but we weren't all in. We weren't completely committed to achieving the task at hand because of those 6 fears. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of, I can't remember all off the top of my head right now. But at the end of the day, we gave up because of fear. Something stopped us from going all in. I can admit that. Anyone else have maybe something you've experienced in your life? And Betty, I just saw her hand go up.
Yeah, I mean, you can think, I don't really think it's the devil, it's all about us. It's just us, whether it's God, whether it's the devil, it truly is our emotions and how we control our mind.
Yeah,
And even though his wife was afraid to put out the book, but when you really think about it, it's not the devil. He's just using it as
It's a metaphor. It's a
to get our
metaphor.
attention. Yeah, metaphor. To get our attention to
Yeah,
really realize what is going on in our brains. It just
exactly.
came.
We are our own worst enemies. And so he's just sharing with us that he's calling it the devil. I mean, this isn't a religious book. It's not about God and the devil. It's about the power that we have that we're born with. And we give it up so freely, which allows all of these distractions to pull us away from the potential that we could enjoy. I mean, does that make sense? Because we literally can have anything we want to have as long as we're not harming other people. So many people have become major successes in life with minimal education, minimal ability. I'm remembering the story in the original version of Think and Grow Rich of that was it Jones sausages. So Mr. Jones was a farmer and he became paralyzed. He lost all physical ability to move, but he still had his brain. And he's laying in bed and he's trying to figure out how he's going to support his family when he can no longer perform the physical work on the farm that he had been performing his entire life. And he called his family into the room and he ordered them to clear the fields and plant nothing but corn and to raise the hogs. The corn would feed the hogs. And then the hogs would create the most tasty sausage links ever created. And he became a multimillionaire. Jones sausages are still out there today because he took the time to think and grow rich. He was forced into a position where he had to find a different way. So I think the story, whether it be in Think and Grow Rich or Outwitting the devil is outwitting all of those things that crawl into our minds and stop us from pursuing the things that we could certainly achieve very easily if we just focused on it. I just read, I think, was it yesterday morning? Yeah, probably yesterday morning. I just read in one of the books of many that I'm reading from Napoleon Hill that if we would read for 30 minutes a day for 3 years in our specialized career, whatever it is that you're pursuing, you would become well known in your community as the expert. If you added 2 more years to that and read it continuously for another 30 minutes a day in your specialized field, so now we're reading for 5 years, you would become recognized as an expert nationally. If you took that one step further and read 30 minutes a day for 2 more years, which brings us to 7 years, you would be recognized as an international expert in your field. Think about that. 7 years to become an international expert in whatever you decide to specialize in. Brad, whether if it's landscaping and design, for me, coaching and motivational speaking, Joel getting involved with real estate and investing and doing all those things, Toby Beth as well, a coach. I mean, what if we just focused for 7 years? How short a time is that? For 7 years, 30 minutes a day to study, take note, and become an expert in your field internationally. Anybody got any thoughts about that? Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, I have to say something because my husband reads all the time, and he always has. And he is probably, when I get a call from somebody and they say, Lynn, where do you think I can get that? When I do, sometimes Mario, I think, gets upset with me, but the only thing I do, I put Mario's name and phone number, and I said, there you go, he's got the answer. And and why I'm saying that is because exactly what you're saying. He reads constantly. He's in that office all the time, and he's just checking everything out in his field. And yeah, if anybody
Yeah.
wants anything, call Mario. He didn't hear me. He's
Yeah,
ready to
yeah.
leave, but he didn't hear me.
You didn't post the number, Lynn. Be careful, because Toby Beth's going to call, Betty's going to call, everybody's going to call, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
but you know,
he's my
I re
go-to
I
for that
remember
reason.
I remember somebody saying to me, and thank you for sharing that, Lynn, because I know Mario and I know how intelligent he is and how great a businessman he is. And it's somebody once said to me, because I meet a lot of people who just don't read. And someone said to me once, by the way, at one point in time, I was that guy. As a young man, I did not like to read. In fact, my father would be very proud of how many books I read every day now. That there's no difference between the person who cannot read and the person who chooses not to read. Think about that. There's no difference between the person who cannot read and the person who chooses not to read. And I run into people, I just happened yesterday during one of my coaching sessions. One of the group coaching sessions I did yesterday, the individual spoke up and said, "No, I don't like to read. I just listen." Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with listening to audiobooks. I do it every day of my life. But I think there's definitely a difference between what you can gain through listening while you're distracted doing other activities. I listen when I'm walking in the morning, and I'm sure my subconscious mind is picking something up, but it doesn't have the focus that I have when I have to turn the page. And I'm not a fast reader. And so I'll turn the page and maybe I'll do a highlight, maybe I'll make a note, maybe I'll pull out a quote from my quote of the day. But at the end, there's a difference in the speed of how you're going through the material. So if there's anyone in the room that doesn't enjoy reading, I would challenge you to practice it as a daily exercise for 30 minutes a day. Go ahead, Joel.
I want to add something because I used to not be a reader, and I think it was an older gentleman that told me this. It's like you should really read a book because that it takes the author 10, 20 years to create that book, and you're gonna read all of their research and all their knowledge in just a week or a month, however long it takes you to read that all that knowledge. So I was like, that put things into a different perspective. Totally, it's like you're absolutely right. I could specify knowledge of whatever I want to read is somebody's research for years.
And
So
one of the principles for Napoleon Hill's his original 13 principles was specialized knowledge. We have the advantage in today's day and age in 2025. We can access anything we want to access to become whatever we want to become. Think about that. For free or minimal cost. What's a book cost now? 20, 25 bucks if you buy the hardback. Paperback's going to be 10 to $15. YouTube's out there. We can go to school every single day. We can learn whatever we want to learn. So what's stopping us from reaching our highest potential? Go ahead, Toby Beth, speak the words. Don't just do that.
We stop ourselves, and I'm going to wind this back around to the beginning of your question, you know, what is the 10 things that we're hearing? Well, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, now I start to doubt, is there really the little red man, or is it really what we've all just made up in our minds? Because we all just get into our heads and we want what we want when we want it, no matter the consequence. And there is the 1% of the 1% that understands there's a good consequence and there's a bad consequence. And they have the fortitude to go forward. I mean, and I'm not saying no disrespect to anybody in the room, I'm just using the metaphors here and the descriptions. But, that 1% of the 1% that the rest of us look at and go, how did they do that? Because they have the fortitude, the mental fortitude to push through the I want what I want when I want it, no matter what the consequence is. But they know because they have a plan for what they want. And most of us go and just do what we do because it feels good in the moment. So is that a question? Is there really a devil? I call it the little red man. I think the word devil's it's a dirty four-letter word. So, um, it, it's it's interesting to me, metaphorically speaking, Betty, or is the devil, the little red man, using, his knowledge as the vehicle to drive everybody absolutely bananas and batty because he knows better than us? I don't know. Does he? No,
No.
because we all, each of us individually, have the power to discern what's right or wrong, what's good, what's bad.
And he readily admits it because his
Right.
answer to Napoleon's question was, I have no control over those who choose to take control and retain control of their own minds. He has no control. And whoever he is, I mean, I don't really care if it's the little red man, the devil, whatever. The bottom line is we have the power to do whatever it is we want to do if we choose to take it,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can make a decision of what we want. We have to be willing to pay the price. We have to have a plan. We have to be willing to pay that price and whatever it takes, WIT, whatever it takes.
Mhm.
Are you willing to make that sacrifice?
It's that
Right.
emotional tug of war that causes our emotional distress, our burnout, our overthinking, overachieving, because, that emotional tug of war, right from wrong, good from bad, consequence, no consequence, is it getting us? Not many people think to themselves, well, is this going to take me closer to or further away from what I'm trying to do here? They just act without thinking it through because it's
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. We all want pleasure, right? And we want it now. And I've certainly been there. And if I wanted something, I went out and bought it, whether it was on credit or not, and I put myself in a bad position. We've all made bad decisions. I certainly did that to the tune of about $85,000 of credit card debt before I finally got myself under control. We have to make decisions. We have to take control. And happily, I did that, and I'm able to live debt free today. It's a matter of deciding what you want and taking control. Napoleon talks, one of his principles is the budgeting of time and money. I had a coaching session yesterday with a young lady who is trying to lose weight, and she's succeeding. She lost 3 pounds the first week and maybe 1 pound each week after for the last 3 weeks. And I said, okay, does that meet what you want as a result? And she said, no, I want it to be faster. I said, okay, what can you do differently? And she said, I don't know. I said, well, what's it going to take to ignite the, so that was the word I want, the momentum to get you to dropping more weight quickly? She's doing the diet, but she's not doing the exercise. And so I said to her, I said, what could you do differently? Well, I just don't have time. I can't fit it in. I said, well, we all have 24 hours in a day. How are you budgeting your time? Napoleon Hill said budgeting time and money. We can achieve whatever we want if we use our time correctly and we use our money, our resources correctly. So I tossed into the room today, are you budgeting your time and money correctly? So I challenged this young lady. I said, look, 1 hour a day, I want you to exercise. She doesn't like the gym, so we decided she's going to walk. She decided she's going to walk. I said, great. How fast? What's your pace? How many miles? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, if we don't know the answers, we have to ask the questions. So actually, this coaching session happened this morning or early this afternoon. I said, okay, so today you're going to walk a mile and you're going to time your walk, which is easy. She's got an Apple iWatch. And then you're going to text me the distance that you walked and the time that you completed that mile in. So now we have a baseline. She walked 1.3 miles, actually 1.03 miles, in 22 minutes, 27 seconds. My question to her was, 30 days from now, what do you want that time to be? setting that specific goal. Because walking 22 minutes for a mile is not a very quick pace, and it's not getting your heart rate up fast enough to burn the calories. She burns 77 calories. So being able to look at, ask yourself the question, if I'm not achieving the results I want to achieve, what can I do differently? What are my current results? And how can I get to the results that I want to achieve? And that works regardless of what we're doing. For Toby, Beth, and I as coaches, are we getting the clients that we need? Are we earning the revenue that we want to earn for our time and our experience? You know, for Lynn, with all the things that Lynn's got going on, she's a sales master, by the way. She's like going crazy over there. You know, but are you achieving? If you're achieving what you want, awesome. But if you're not achieving what you want, you are the only person that can identify what you need to do differently to achieve better results. Anybody have any comments about that? Lynn.
Thank you, Frank, for saying all those things. And I have to admit, at one time, I was a top salesman person. And with my stores and everything, and this is a second life for me. It really is because, like, I've traveled and I'm back, and I'm much older than all of you here, and I'm starting something new, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And I don't feel my age. I really don't. When I see it, I go, no, that's not me. That's not me. I really look at it. However, there is one thing. I know I can do a lot of things differently to achieve more of what I want. And it's more discipline that I need. Frank, you know that. It's total discipline. And I think each and every one of us, we actually know what we can do to achieve more. However, I probably make excuses because I'm happy. I am happy where I am. And there is more. There is definitely more. So I'm trying to balance it. That's what I'm trying to do personally. And I know that each and every one of you, you can achieve whatever you want by following these principles that Frank is teaching here. I know because I've come pretty far since I've met Frank in doing what I'm doing, because I really don't have to be here. I don't, but he knows as well as I do, there's more to life than what I'm doing. There's always more. There's always more to life.
Lynn, thank you for that. And you know what? I want to share that there's nothing wrong with being content. If you're happy with the life that you live, there was once a time that I would say, no, there's always more. You should go after it and get it. I truly believe in Napoleon Hill's 12 riches in life. If you're living a good life, you're serving other people, you've got a lot of riches that don't include money. Your life experience, the people that you touch. I mean, a lot of what I do today gives me a whole different feeling about what I have and what I should be grateful for. So I'm not going to sit here and say that we should all be driving for the big ticket money unless that's what you want.
Well, if I'm going to work, I certainly want it. I don't mean to say it selfishly or anything like that.
A hardcore capitalist from Canada. I love it. And there's certainly nothing wrong.
I still donate a lot. I still do a lot of donation. But if I'm going to do all this extra, I want to see a reward. I do.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it truly is. It comes back down to, the question I asked at the beginning, what do you want? And that question just keeps coming up because it has to be what you want. What do you desire? What do you want to work for? And what do you expect? What are the results that you expect? It's got nothing to do with me, Lynn, Toby, Beth, Betty, Joel, Yolena. It's got to do with what do we personally want out of our lives. Lynn, you may be a little bit older, but you're not that much older than me. All right. And, when you get to a certain, I'm not even going to say that. Whatever stage of life that you're in, you need to figure out, are you happy where you are? Do you know where you want to go? Do you have a plan to get there? And are you willing to pay the price?
I am happy where I am right now. And one of the things that I get really what rewards me the most right now of because of where I am is like I have all these books and I was going to pull one of the books to show you how I really read them and everything. And that was even before Bob Proctor. One of the things that rewards me the most is when my grandchildren come home. And my grandson this year was, and he said to me, he says, Grandma, could you coach me? And I thought, wow, wow, because he could see what I'm reading and he could see there's structure and he understands he needs structure. And because you fall, they're kids, you know, they're 17, 18-year old. Yeah, there's so much out there. Like we're saying, the devil, when they're handing you all these things and it's all there. Yeah. But when somebody his age says to me, he knows he needs structure, he's missing it and he's asking for it. To me, that is more reward than money. And when I hear things from other people, they come and they see what I'm doing and they get it, you know? They're, yeah, it's really to me, that's a reward. It
So
really,
Lynn, I want to thank you for bringing that up. Your grandson is 18,
yeah, just turned 18.
18.
He went
And
through a
if,
little bit of a rough week this week, but he's back on track, you know,
okay,
which is
he's
good.
he's 18. It's supposed to be rough once in a while.
There,
You
thank
know,
you.
but at the end of the day, go back to what we just read earlier. Who is the most likely candidate for the devil, the red man, whatever you want to call him, to attract to him?
The kids,
They're the easiest for him to control,
yes.
right? So most of us are above, I'm going to say probably all of us are above the age of 40. And I think when you're above the age of 40, which by the way, Yolena, I never thought that you were at that age. When I first met Yolena, I thought she was like 20 something, you know? But but when we're at that stage, I think we have a responsibility to help those 18, 19, 20-year-olds to figure it out. Because frankly, I don't think there's a lot of help out there for them. And they're begging for help. They want
Oh,
someone to show
he
them the
asked for
way.
it. It showed. It just showed.
Exactly.
It showed that he's
They
begging for it.
want somebody to show them the way. Now don't misunderstand that as to tell them what to do. We don't want to tell them what to do. Nobody could tell me what I was going to do at 18, right? And probably none of you, because you're all strong-minded people. To show them the way so that they could make their own decisions based on a set of principles. And I'm going to tell you, I have been studying this material now. I mean, studying, I've read it before, but I've been studying this material for over a year and a half. Every single day, I start my day reading, listening to this material. And it is literally a blueprint, not just for us, but for anyone that we can share the information with to help them earn their greatest potential in shorter time. I can't remember who it was, but in the original version of Think and Grow Rich, one of the testimonies that Napoleon Hill received when he had just finished writing The Law of Success. The gentleman who was giving the testimony was already very successful. He didn't need the law of success to become successful. He was already there. But what he said was, had I known this process, I would have achieved everything I have in half the time.
Hmm. I have a question for you, Frank.
Yes, ma'am.
And my question is, knowing what you did before, you would train young men to be Marines, correct?
Yes.
What is the difference between what you did back then and the material that you're teaching now? If you were to teach a young man now, the same age, because they'd be about the same age, what you did then and what you're doing now. What is the difference with that material, what you did then, and with the material that we're teaching here?
So that's a great question. And ironically, a week or so ago, I got onto Chat GPT and asked that entity to help me create a training program that included the concepts of the 17 keys to success and the 14 leadership traits of United States Marines. And what came back was a very common thread. There was overlap all throughout the material that I was given. So I think the answer to your question is it's foundational principles. So Joel's a fellow Marine. He knows when I'm talking about the 14 leadership characteristics and traits, these are things that are foundational, not just for Marines. Every branch of service has something similar, right? Those are foundational. They don't change. They're the foundation of how good people live. Napoleon's principles, if you go through all 17 principles, they're foundational principles. They're just what good people do. The problem is we get distracted from these things. We're looking for the shiny object. We're looking for the quick buck. There's always a faster way, and especially today's day and age, you can have everything you want. It's glitter and glitz. You can have it tomorrow if you want it. Just pay me, $15.95 and we'll give it to you 32 monthly payments and you're good. You're going to be a success. No, that's not the way it works. So Marines, sailors, soldiers, airmen, I don't know about those Space Force guys, but we all are trained in the same way. This is how we do things. If you do it this way, have integrity, treat people right, have a pleasing personality, all these things are going to work. Leaders are leaders, managers are just managers, and some of them are not very good because they have this power thing and they just make people do what they need to do because they have control. That's not a leader. A leader leads by example, the way I was taught. So at the end of the day, and this is why I feel so strongly about what I just said a few minutes ago, we have a responsibility, regardless of how you learn the lessons, we have a responsibility to put a hand out to those young men and women who don't necessarily acknowledge any help around them. And young men and women could be anywhere from the age of 20 to 40 who are just, most people go to school, get a job, something good enough to pay the bills. They have no real ambitions. They're just trying to make it through life. And they do that for like 50 or 60 years. Are you living the life you want to live? If not, change it. And you have the complete control to do it. These are the messages that I'm taking out of the stuff that I'm studying. I'm no better than anybody in this room. I'm just focusing every single day on these 17 principles, 17 freaking principles that if we focus, commit, make a decision, do the work, you can have anything you want. Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Betty.
I wish all the schools would try to train or teach their children these highly effective habits. There's only a couple schools, one in Port Charlotte. I don't remember the name of it, but that's what they have on their walls, the 7 highly effective habits by what's his name?
Yeah.
With a C, right?
Yeah, I know.
Conley,
Yeah.
Conway.
Yeah, 7
Stephen
habits of highly
Covey.
effective people. David
Covey, there you go.
Covey, Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey, thank you. And I wish all the schools would do it, but there's only one school that does it, and it's the grade school.
Yeah, a grade school. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's where it should start. Exactly. Yeah. So got some folks here who have been a little quiet tonight. Brad, what are your thoughts for tonight before we start to wrap things up here?
I'm just soaking it all in. There's been golden nuggets the entire time. So using my 2 ears, and one mouth shut.
In the
But
proper
I
form.
appreciate everybody's feedback. It's just been gold.
Yeah. You can't debate the fact that this is simply good stuff. And I don't care who presents it. It's just simply good stuff. And, to have faith in it and believe in it, to live the principles. When I talk to the Napoleon Hill Institute coaches that I work with on Mondays, because I'm in charge of doing all this sales training and stuff. And I said, guys, you don't need to sell any of this stuff. You just simply need to live it as an example. And perhaps that comes from my Marine Corps training, lead by example. Live the principles, and you will be guiding people because they're watching you. People are watching us all the time. Those young folks that don't want to listen to us, they're observing us every single day. What's the example you're putting out there for them? Go ahead, Lynn.
I just have to say something. I just noticed that Ivana got on today,
Yes.
just now, and I have to say something great about Ivana because I just love this woman. I met her a few years when I started getting into this work that I'm doing. And Ivana has 3 children. I remember when she was expecting her daughter, and she would be online doing this with her daughter. And I'm sure her daughter was hearing everything while she was pregnant. And to this day, she brings her on and we see her. And Ivana, I have to congratulate you on how you're such a wonderful, wonderful mother. And I always say, I see you in me when I first started, and I wish I would have known everything that I know now when I was your age and I was raising my kids then. They turned out good, but I think I could have felt better or done more, I just had to congratulate Ivana for coming here.
Love it.
I'm
Love it.
sorry.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm actually in the chat right now. I'm looking at a comment that Ivana made in response to Betty's comment about the school who's got Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Her comment was, they may have it on the wall, but they don't enforce it. Right. And I'm not going to judge the school. I mean, the fact that the school has it on the walls is a good example for me. But I will say this, it's one thing to talk the game. It's another thing to do what you're talking about. Joel, you may remember, I don't know, you're a generation or so behind me from the Marine Corps, but we used to, Marines have big egos and we tend to talk a lot. And almost always somebody in the group would say, okay, Joel, you got the easy part done, talking about it. Now, what are you going to do about it? Right. And so it's one thing to preach, it's another thing to do. And I think we have a lot of preaching going on out there. We have a lot of people that can read books and post things that impress people and say, oh, do this, do that, do this. But don't you dare do what I do.
Mhm. Well, I know for a fact that that school promotes it because it was on my Charlotte leadership days where I went. We started at a grade school, middle school, high school, and then we met with the school board at the end. And we were allowed to ask them any question we wanted. And I, of course, asked them several bold questions. And one of them was, why is it that that school does such a great job and it's so important for our children to learn these principles? Why doesn't every school do it in the district or in the county?
Love it.
And their response was, each principal is in charge of their school and they get to do what they want. They can't force them to do it. So
yeah. And and thank you for sharing that, Betty. I certainly had an experience. I gave a presentation a year or so ago to a group of junior high school students getting ready to advance to become seniors. And several of the folks in the group were part of an ROTC program, so a Reserve Officers Training program. And I was teaching the 14 leadership traits of the Marine Corps. And at the end of my presentation, 3 young ladies came up to me who were part of the ROTC program. And they said, thank you so much for what you shared today. We already knew all these things because of their experience in the ROTC, but you gave us a different perspective because I was tying it to work life and just regular life, not just military life. And there are people out there that are doing good things, and there are institutions, maybe that one school that Betty's talking about, they're trying to do the right. That principal's making a decision because he or she believes this is the right thing to do. This is how we should teach our students to live a good life. Unfortunately, there's not enough of it. And frankly, it's one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to help that group of people. I know Toby Beth wants to help that group of people. And Joel is out there, he's a fellow veteran. He's out there doing his thing. He's trying to make it work. That's another one of my goals, is to help veterans make that transition, achieve the goals that they want to achieve. So all I want to share with you guys tonight is, let's not just meet once a week and chat about the devil and all the things that we're talking about here, the principles, and then close the screen at 8 o'clock and don't talk about it, don't think about it, don't do anything about it for the rest of the week. It's the third time I'm going to say it today. We have a responsibility to share the knowledge, to set the example, to set the bar at the highest level possible, and to hold those that we are exposed to a higher standard. And you can do that without judging. You can do that just, yeah, I think you're better than that. Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and just talk about it. Let's go have a Coke or whatever. Spend some time sharing thoughts of wisdom from our life experience and weave in the 17 success principles, or whatever principles you want to talk about that do good for other people. I got 7:58. Who's got some final comments for us tonight? Yolena, you've been quiet.
Well, actually, it reminds me this book that I started reading. It's called The War of Art, not the art of war, The War of Art.
Love it.
And it talks about how it's almost mirrors Outwitting the Devil a little bit, where it talks about how like people, like creatives and like entrepreneurs and like people who want to do big things in their lives often get derailed by fear or judgment from others, or like even like obstacles get thrown into your path, basically, um, by the devil or whoever you want to call it. And it's really just you yourself sabotaging yourself, basically.
It's actually called self-sabotage. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of what today's passage kind of reminded me of. So
Well, thanks for sharing that, Yolena. I'm remembering a description so we all have a thermostat in our home, right? And you put the thermostat at a certain temperature. And when it reaches that temperature, it stops. Well, that same process happens with us as human beings. We achieve a certain level, and that becomes our thermostat. And many people, I've seen it in real estate all the time, they reach a level of income that they've never reached before in their lives. And then all of a sudden, the thermostat switches off, and their energy and their efforts just kind of go on pause. And so they can never break through because they've reached the limit that they think they can achieve. And it happens to all of us. What are your thresholds? Can you set the bar higher? Can you adjust the thermostat to allow you to break through to a new level, to another level? And it's amazing when you watch people who achieve things that you never thought. And the name that's come to my mind right now is Henry Ford. Henry Ford achieved so much with so little education because he decided to hang out with people who were smarter, better, stronger than he was. He wasn't smart enough to do everything he did. He became friends with Thomas Edison, Henry Firestone. There's another one. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he hung out with these guys every year in Florida, by the way. They used to vacation down in Fort Myers every year to create their own little mastermind, and they shared their knowledge and experience with each other, which raised Henry Ford to a different level, which raised Firestone to a different level, which raised Edison to being one of the most recognized inventors in the world ever, right? So setting the bar, adjusting your thermostat, going for the big goal if that's what you want. Right? I got 8:02. How did I do that? I went over time. That's not allowed. Don't do that.
I have one little comment. That
Go.
devil 4-letter word for Toby, it should be fear, F-E-A-R. That's the bad 4-letter word.
Fear is a killer. Fear is a killer for all of us. Lack of confidence in ourselves. It goes back to, I just did a video today on applied faith. And applied faith is having faith in yourself, having faith in the process that you're doing. Are you showing me a pillow, Betty?
Yeah, it says, but you won't be make today ridiculously amazing.
There you go.
Backwards, sorry.
Shoot for the moon. It's not, it
Mhm.
came, I saw it fine. It wasn't backwards to me. But guys, I enjoy these nights every Wednesday. I look forward so much to this. My wife asked me, "Aren't you going to cancel? We're still unpacking." I said, "No, this hour is important to me, and I hope it's important to you guys too. You guys are very special to me, and I encourage you to invite other people to join us. It doesn't matter when they come in. We're only like reading half a page a freaking night, but we have great conversations, and that's what this is all about, right? So I do have a project I was sharing with Joel earlier today. I'm going to throw this out there on the table. I'd love some impact from you guys. So in the 1960s, Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone created what they called the 13 Club. And the 13 Club was just people who followed the 13 principles. And they would meet weekly, kind of like what we're doing right now. And I'd like to propose that we make this meeting the 17 Club because there are now 17 principles and encourage people to join us where each and every week we will talk about, maybe we'll read another book or but we'll always talk about the principles, at least one principle a week, share some ideas on how we're implementing those principles and how we can help other people learn those principles as well. So 17 Club is what I'm coming up with tonight. I don't care too much for the name, but maybe that would be a good homage to Napoleon Hill and bring back the club. It wasn't a club of 13 people. It was about the principles. And if you're getting some stuff out of this, I'm willing to go in that direction. I've got another project I'm working on. It's called the Disciplined Man Club. Sorry, ladies.
Oh, I'm offended. Come on
Sorry,
now.
ladies. I don't mean to offend you, but the Napoleon Institute has created the Woman's Covenant.
I was just going to say that's why you're doing it.
And I said, "What about the guys?" And I've had several of the people in Napoleon Hill Institute say, "Frank, what is this? All of a sudden a women's club?" No, it's not about women and men. Guys, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but we each have a role. Women have a role, men have a role, and it could be the same role. I mean, I'm not saying women can't do anything, but at the end of the day, I want to help men, especially young men, to be the men that they're supposed to be and
I
walk
have
along
Very good.
and walk alongside with the women who are supposed to be the women that they're supposed to be. From my perspective, I'm sorry, I think men have lost their power in too many different angles and they need to get their shit together. Pardon my French.
Call it Club 17, Frank.
yeah,
Web
Club
17?
Club
I,
17.
Club
yeah.
17. I love it. All right, Lynn, go for it. You got 2 seconds before Carol yells
Real
at me.
quickly, when that club came on, I'm being a woman too. I thought, what is this? Come on, we're business people. Like obviously, they're not really. When you're a business person, it doesn't matter who comes to these meetings because it's business. When I was my first business, when I sold it, for some reason,
Short story, Lynn.
yeah, I wanted just a women's club, or I just wanted to have women women lawyers, women accountants, all women around me. And this one, my accountant calls me and she says, "What the heck are you doing?" She says, "Do you want to have a tea party or do you want to have a business?" And that's what came to my mind when these women created that, because I thought men bring as much as women. We all bring. If it's a business we're creating, you don't exclude men out of a business, but that's okay. They've done it. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll go well.
And honestly, guys, nobody's trying to exclude anybody. It's just a thing, and at the end of the day, we all have things. We have value that we bring to the table. We should bring it to the table together. I'm looking at this room right now. We're almost 50-50 men and women. And I love that. And I want to keep that. In fact, I want more men and I want more women in the room. So please invite your friends because this is fun and it's free. If you can get value for free, why wouldn't you do it?
I agree. Can I make one comment? It's
Yes.
totally off the
Go
subject.
ahead,
That
Betty.
book in your background, can't they change it to Outwitting the Devil
That
instead
book
of
right
Think and
there?
Grow Rich?
Of course I can
Yeah.
change it. That's my background. I can change that any way I want to.
Oh, well, then you should throw in the book that we're reading in the background.
Well, okay, Betty, just because you said so, I'll do
It's
it.
just a
I like
suggestion.
that suggestion, Betty.
I mean, I don't know. I just thought of it here. It'd be kind of cool.
What a great observation. Now go to bed. All right,
All right.
guys.
See ya. See you next week. Thank you.
Have a good night,
Love you
guys. I
all.
love you all. See you
Bye.
next week.
Night.
Let me know if I can be of any help. All right. Talk to you later.
Good night.
Good night. Brad, go.